Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Torah learning of spreading more light into the world. We always like to start off with giving because how we give, that's how Hashem's going to give to us. So let's give generously so Hashem can give us generously. I'm going to put some coins in the tzedakah box, and we're going to say some names for Refuah Shalema. Please join me from home. Chana Yent Rivka Bas Shendel, Chana Bas Devora, Yosef ben Devora Leah, Rafal Chai Meir ben Simachasha, Devora Leah Bas Yafa Liba, Chana Leah Saraba Bap Heshet Gittel, and everyone who needs. We're including all the names. I also do this in memory of my dear grandmother, Rivkadina Bas Yosef Yehuda. I hope you're proud. It's her anniversary on Chaf Daled Adar. So this class is dedicated to her as well. I do this in memory of my dear great uncle, Chaim Dober ben Betzalel. To save a life is saving a world, and he saved many in the Soviet Union. I also do this in memory of my dear grandmother who recently passed away, Bela Bas Betzalel. We're dedicating this class for the complete safety of all the amazing, the IDF who are risking their lives to bring the hostages home and doing their important mission. I'm going to name a couple of names, but we're including everyone right now. Rafal ben Devora Leah, Hashem should keep them all safe. Shalom Dover ben Basya Perel, Devora, I don't know what that name. Okay, Yisrael Ephraim ben Chayat Sivya, and all who need. We're also dedicating this class for Shachar ben Roni, a soldier who was wounded, and he should have a complete refuah shalema. We are now going to say Psalms 20, Kapitel 20, if you can join me from home, that by the end of this class, we should just hear the immediate and good news that miracles are happening, and they are happening every day. So we have to thank Hashem in advance for the miracles. Lam natseach mizmar leDavid yancha denai b'yam sarah yisagevcha shem elehei akayv yishlach ezracha mikaidesh umitzian yisadecha yiskar kol min chaisecha v'elaska yidash nesela yitain lecha chalvavevcha v'chol atzascha yimalei niranana b'yeshua secha uv'shem Eloheinu nidgal yimalei adenai kol mishal secha ata yadaiti ki hashia adenai mishichai yanehu mishmei kachai b'burais yishai yiminai Ela Varecha V'Ela Vasosim Va'anachnu B'Shem Adonai Eloheinu Naskir Hema Karu V'Nafalo Va'anachnu Kamnu V'Nisaydad Adonai Hashia Hamelach Yaneinu B'Yam Karenu. So today's class, we're dedicating it in memory and in honor of a very special, incredible person that I am so lucky to that we had in our life, the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, the Rebbe's wife. She gave us her life. She gave us the Rebbe, and she is, her father was the previous Rebbe. And today we are so lucky to have with us Mrs. Esther Piekarski from Tel Aviv, Israel. Her and her husband are shluchim of the Lubavitcher Rebbe and also the Rebbetzin. And she is also a teacher in many seminaries. And a little fun fact, she was my teacher when I was in seminary. And we're so humbled and honored to have her. We've been waiting a very long time for this. And we are going to do something, a little bit of a twist. What we're doing today, we're going to be speaking about a little bit about Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka's father. We recently finished an entire Soviet Union series of people sharing their family histories in the Soviet Union. And the Friedrich Rebbe had such a big part of it. He was the backbone, and he really gave strength to all of his Hasidim to get through the difficult times. And now we're in a very difficult time, and we're going to hear from Esther Piekarski from Israel. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, so great to be here. It's nice to see students grow up and develop their potential that we spoke about when we were teacher-student, and it's so nice and so much nachas. So I'm really glad to be part of this. I'd like to mention, being that you mentioned hostages, and I do live in Tel Aviv, so this is a special hostage that we pray for in our house. Ori ben Einav Efrat Danino. His girlfriend, actually, her father has the grocery on our corner, and we did a lot of things in his chos, in Hashem, in his merit, that he and all the rest of the hostages should come home. So I just added his name. If anybody wants to say Psalm 26, he's 25 years old, so we're saying Psalm 26, which that is his birthday. And it's very apropos because we will be celebrating this week the Rebetzin's birthday on the 25th day of Adar, special day, and happy anniversary for Chaya and her husband, many, many years together with nachas from the family and from each other. So it's a very special day, the 25th day of Adar, and that is the day that the Rebbe actually spoke about people celebrating their birthdays. So we are here celebrating the Rebetzin's birthday. And what I chose to do, being that I heard about the series that you did on the Rebetzin's father, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, I chose to learn together, and as a gift for Chaya's wedding anniversary, a letter about marriage. This letter was written by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe to a woman that was in Riga. And I'll share with you the screen because it's such a beautiful letter that it pays to read it together. I'd like to point out when we'll read the letter a few important points. Number one, we'll see how the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe wrote to people like a father. You'll feel the fatherly love of the Rebbe to this woman as he's writing to her, the care and the guidance that he's giving. Many people mistaken that this letter was written to Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, but it's not. It's written to a woman in Riga, left behind after the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe left already Europe. His dangerous escape of Nazi Europe is something to read about, and we'll soon discuss it. So that's point number one. His wording is so beautiful. And the second point I'd like to bring out when we look at the date of this letter, okay? This is the letter translated in English by me, but it's not so good. But it's I think it was originally in Yiddish, written in Yiddish, and I have here the translation in Hebrew and in English. The original was written in Yiddish. Okay. So this letter was written in 1940, okay, on the 29th of Nisan, which is like March, April of 5700, 1940, and it's dated in Lakewood, New York. What's interesting about this date is that the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, escaped Nazi Europe and arrived to the United States a month earlier than this letter was written. In other words, he was just a month into freedom, of running away, and we hear the stories what he went through before he escaped from Warsaw. He went through Riga, and then he went through Europe, and until he got onto a ship, Sweden, and then the treacherous trip with bombs of being shot around the ship and arrived to the shores of the United States of New York. He arrived in a wheelchair with a broken body, broken soul, knowing that he left many, many people behind, not knowing what will be with them. The Hasidim that were then in the United States prepared for him a place in Lakewood to come back to himself, to strengthen himself, even though when he got off the ship, he said, I come here to rest. We came here to bring alive and back alive the pride of the Jewish people and bring back Jewry into the United States of America. But he did go by request of Hasidim to Lakewood. And there he sat writing letters to people. And one of the letters is this letter that we have before us, that he wrote to this woman, young woman in Riga. And I always say to myself, I'm sure she made it out of Nazi Europe, because the Rebbe finishes the letter with a lot of blessings for her. And I think to myself, in case she didn't, our learning should be to elevate her soul, because in her merit that the Rebbe wrote her this letter, we learn so much. And this should be for her soul and for her husband's soul. It should have an elevation up in heaven. Okay, so let's learn the letter together. So it's to Mrs., and I don't know the name of this woman, blessings and greetings. And the Rebbe writes to her, before I left to Riga, I tried several times to call you, but you were not home. And then I was very busy, and it was simply impossible for me to spend the time needed to talk to you about what I want to tell you. Look how the Rebbe puts in a sentence, how he tried to call her. And at that time, to call is not what we call it now, to pick up, slip up a phone from our pocket and to call. It was placing a long distance call. He was in Riga. I don't know where this woman was. Maybe she was in Varsha. And the Frierdiker Rebbe was really on the run. He was on the run. And he said, but then I became busy and it was impossible. Of course it was impossible. He was taking his mother, an elderly woman, his wife, his son-in-law, a grandson, his daughter, worried about our Rebbe and his wife someplace in France, what will be with them. Unknown to him, where was his other daughter and her husband, that later we find out that they were killed in Treblinka. He had a lot on his mind, but he turned to this woman that he wanted to speak to her. So he says, and I'll continue the letter, in short, I tell you that family life demands from man, and even more so from the woman, relating sincerely to one another with dedication and gentleness, which must take a lot of time and energy. Wow, what a sentence. In short words, he's telling her that family life demands from the man, and he's putting it as a fact that from the woman even more so. Sincere dedication, but it should be done with gentleness, and that it's not a quick fix. It's not instant. It takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. This is his introduction. And he continues, according to our Holy Torah, and according to healthy intelligence, there's nothing in human life more important than the beautiful and pure way of Torah, where we are taught that even the mitzvah, the commandment of honoring one's father and mother, gives way to a certain extent in favor to the mitzvah of family life. He's putting family life on a very high pedestal. And even intelligence, and of course our Holy Torah, makes us understand that it is of the highest importance in our lives, that sometimes we even have to put aside a commandment that was accepted by the world from the days of creation, even though Adam and Eve had no parents, but their children did. Since then, honoring parents, honoring mother and father was a global recognized commandment, or it wasn't even a commandment, a way of life. And say, even, okay, I'll continue reading the letter. I'll try to do it as clearly as possible so you will hear it. A true family life, according to Torah, requires, now here the Rebbe gives 10 points, what we would call 10 tips of a beautiful marriage. I'll read them and then we'll go back to them, okay? Understanding, effort, devotion, patience, kindness, purity and cleanliness, calmness, orderly appearance, a happy mood and a welcoming face, and a friendly disposition. Isn't it interesting? The list that the previous Rebbe prepared. Understanding, effort, devotion, patience, kindness, purity and cleanliness, calmness, orderly appearance, a happy mood, a welcoming face, and friendly disposition. We'll go back to it because I find it fascinating that these are the things that the previous Rebbe chose. So practical, so down to earth, and so real. And he continues, I'd like to first finish the letter and then we'll go. This is how they should both behave, the man and the wife. However, for the most part of it depends on the woman. As it is written, the wisdom of women build her home. Chochmot nashim banta beita. The home a wife builds. The word home does not refer to a building or a place of residence, but refers to a place where a person lives in general, as it is written, as the glory of man to dwell in a home. This reminds me, I'm pausing the letter for a second, of a story of a couple that both were traveling professors that every few years were transferred from university to university. And they had a little girl that went with them. She was always placed in the new school, whatever town they were living in at that time. Once by a family gathering, one of the uncles says to the little girl, so how do you feel that you don't have a home? So she says, oh, we have a home. We just don't have a house to put it in, which is so astounding. A home is not a house. A home is not just four walls. A home is what you make out of the feeling of for everybody who is in your home at that time. A home is much more than just a house. And this is what the Rebbe wrote in 1940. That is to say, this refers not only to the physical apartment, but also the spiritual and moral level of the home. And of this home, it says, the wisdom of women built the home. A husband might build the house, but a woman builds a home. And the Rebbe is speaking here to a woman. And the Rebbe continues. Of course, it is imperative that each and everyone take part in communal religious life. And the more the person, Baruch Hashem, is in a good situation, the more he must devote himself to this. The Rebbe is saying, of course, you have to contribute, volunteer, communal life, to do things out of the home, whether it's work or things for the community, be active in other things. But first of all, he said, he builds her home. He builds the private home. We all wear many caps. We all do a lot of great work. But the Rebbe is really hinting, what is our priority? Our priority is our home. And then we do all the other extracurricular activities, which sometimes in hours might be taking up more of our time than our private home. But it's what you give the feeling of where you really are, what's on your mind is your home. It's not the time, it's the feeling and the mindset that you have, and all the characters, all the players in your home are able to feel. Then the Rebbe talks to her very directly and in such a gentle manner, and manner of a gentleman and of a father. And he says, I have to say something that is very painful for me to say. I had great grief, and for the time being, have not yet felt better about it. That means he still feels it, even though the Atlantic Ocean and miles separate them. She's somewhere in Europe, in Eastern Europe, and the Rebbe is in Lakewood, New Jersey, or Lakewood is New York. Don't remember my geography. Left America 47 years ago, don't remember. Lakewood is New Jersey, I think. Lakewood, New Jersey. And he says, I still don't feel good about it. And if a Rebbe still doesn't feel good, that means that it did not get better, the situation. And he says, and do not be angry at me for my direct expression. The carelessness with which you value family life. The Rebbe felt that she didn't value family life enough. It wasn't important enough. She didn't realize what it was, how important it is, and therefore treated the connection and the whole idea of getting married and family life with a carelessness. And it grieved the Rebbe, and he says, it still pains me. And he gives her the benefit of the doubt, and he continues writing to her, you are still young and not too experienced, and certainly lack the necessary Torah knowledge, the necessary explanations to know the tremendous, everlasting effect family has on human behavior for many generations. What a sentence. What a sentence. The effect family has on human behavior for many generations. And we see it now. I work with families. I'm an advisor to families, what we call a mashpia to many families. I don't like calling it a marriage therapist, more of an advisor. And I see how the connection and relationship between the parents, husband and wife, how it affects the whole family, their source family, their own children, and then when their children get married, it could really affect for generations. And the Rebbe says, you're young, you're not experienced, you lack the necessary Torah knowledge. So the Rebbe is sending her also to learn more Torah, not only to read how-to books and the 10 tips of this and the 15 tips of that, and all these how-to books. That is also important, necessarily explanation to know the tremendous everlasting effect, but also Torah knowledge. When you have Torah knowledge, and you see how many times in our Torah it's written about our families, the counting of the families, the tribes, and what kept the Jews through the ages was the family unit. We're coming to Pesach now. The sacrifice of Pesach that we gave in Egypt, of Passover that we did the first time in Egypt, we had to do it as families. We were taken out as families. We went into Israel, families. The tribes were counted according to families. And I teach brides and grooms. And I tell them, you're excited, your parents are excited, but truth is, the whole Jewish nation is excited. It's a happy occasion for the whole Jewish nation. It's another unit. It's another family. It's another tie to family, generation after generation. You think it's your private affair? There's no such a thing. A Jewish person, the minute he ties a bond with another person, gets married, he is tying the bond between God, who is like the groom, and the Jewish nation, the bride, and strengthening the whole Jewish nation, that there is another knot was tied, and causing more happiness till the great marriage ceremony of Mashiach coming, and God like re-strengthening our vows of the Jewish nation with him. And it's very deep, the whole idea of family. We learn it in education as a teacher, like Chaya said, I'm a teacher. There's so many things that the family affects the kids, the child's, students' learning skills, not only if he does his homework at home or not. I'm not so much for giving homework at home. Kids go home, they should enjoy time at home and not sit and do homework. But whatever goes on at home, they should, it teaches the child structure, acceptance, honoring, respect. It was interesting that the Board of Education did studies and came out with the result that children who had one family dinner a week had better marks. Torah teaches us that. Have the Shabbos meal together. All these things that people are discovering now and spending billions of dollars in research, our Torah built into our system in a family life. Honor your father and your mother. Make space for each person. Don't be judgmental. So many things. Eating together, time together, closing your phones on Shabbat and talk to each other. These are all gifts that we could give our children, and it affects them forever. And here the Rebbe continues, and I'm continuing to read from the, should I maybe screen share the last two paragraphs? I think they're powerful, if you don't mind. So I'll be put a little bit to the side, which is okay. I don't know how to do it side by side, but here, the last, because it's so beautifully written. He says, everything, without exception, Torah and mitzvot, Torah and commandments, health, children, livelihood, giving nachas. Nachas is a Jewish word of giving pride, causing pride to parents and good friends, being loved, as the saying, anyone who is favored by man is favored by God. Everything is in life is dependent on the proper family life. Health, children, livelihood, being loved, having friends, finding favor in the eyes of friends, finding favor in the eyes of God. Everything is dependent on proper family life. I'd like to tell a story that once two friends met each other. They haven't seen each other in a while. And one friend says to the other, "You look so down. What's the problem?" So he says, "Well, I don't have a problem. I have three big problems. My son was kicked out of school. My business is going down the drain. And my wife is terribly unhappy." So his friend said, "You have really one problem. Make your wife happy. It'll bring a blessing to your business. And when you'll be happy, your son will not be kicked out of school." It's a joke, but it's not a joke. There's a lot of truth in it. And, as a woman, I could tell you that in the Talmud, in the Gemara, it says that a husband's livelihood is dependent on his wife's happiness. So women, be careful with your tears. Don't complain so much. Be happy. And there'll be a blessing in all parts of our lives. The Rebbe here finishes with beautiful blessing to this couple. And that's why I always say, I believe this couple made it out of Nazi Europe. And he says, "I bless you that God will enlighten you and awaken your heart." Look how he turns to her, to her mind. Enlightenment In the Hebrew, it says he's talking to her mind. Open your mind and awaken your heart, both heart and soul, your feelings and your thought process, to understand everything I have spoken to you. All this will penetrate your mind and your heart well, in order that you will fulfill it successfully. The Rebbe talked to the whole person, to her feelings, and to her understanding. God, blessed be He, will strengthen your health and the health of my dear friend, your husband, and will delight their heart with a child, living healthy children, and give you livelihood in abundance, materially and spiritually. And I bless and signed his signature with great blessing. I love this letter because it's a very down-to-earth letter, and it gives you a picture. And I teach it to all my brides. I send it to them. I teach it to all my brides. And I tell them, look what you're going into. A little scares them off. How, we're all excited. I found somebody who I love and who loves me, and me and you, will live happily ever after. And then the Rebbe starts saying it has to be done with gentleness and dedication, and it takes time and energy. And then starts listing a bunch of things. And but it's not scary, because the Rebbe tells you it takes time. You don't have to do it right away. But this should be your guidepost. I call it the 10 tips of marriage, but it's pillars of marriage. So I'd like to go back, with your permission, to the 10 crucial words in the second paragraph, and say a few words on each one, okay? What's interesting, the Rebbe does not talk here about love, honor, emotions. He talks about very fundamental, basic, and surprising things. He talks about cleanliness, he talks about structure, he talks about devotion and patience and calmness. And this is what we're all looking for. This new thing called mindfulness, being there, meditation. Everybody thinks it's new age stuff. And actually, when you think of it, that's exactly what he's saying. Be there. Devotion means be there. Let the person feel you're listening. You're devoted. You're not all over the place. You're not on your phone. You're with me. You're here. Let's see the words. Okay. Should I put it up, or I'll say it out loud? Okay. Where is it? A true family life, the Rebbe says, according to the Torah, and this is all based on Torah. Whatever the Rebbe always writes and speaks, it's all based on Torah, and he always gives the premise. A true family life, according to the Torah, requires understanding. Understanding is the first word. So what do we have to understand? If you ask couples, are you getting married because you understand? Most Chatan v'Kala, brides and grooms that I speak to, I ask them, why are you getting married? Sometimes I feel they're looking at me, poor Rebbetzin, 12 children, let's teach her about love. They see pictures of bearded people around me and a table with 14, 15 chairs, and they think, okay. And I sit and patiently listen about a beautiful talk about love. And I say, how about understanding? They say, what do we have to understand? To understand the differences between men and women. You have to understand each other. You have to understand what you're going to be building. A lot of things. Let's discuss that. And it's interesting that the Rebbe starts with the first word is understanding. In Hebrew, it's called bina, lehavin, bina. And the Gemara says that understanding is a gift that women were blessed with more than men. Because understanding, the word binah means to understand something from the depth of it. It's not a superficial, oh, I know. No, it's delving into the depth of things. And this is what we women like to do, for good or for bad. We understand when somebody asks a question, we think for a minute and say, like, why is he questioning? Or why does he mean? When a child wants something, we're thinking, where's that coming from? Why does he need it? Why is he asking that? When a child cries, we think, why is he crying? And we don't just say, stop crying, stop being a baby. The child needs something. We women come from the depth of man. That's where a woman was created from the depth of man, from one of his inner organs. So we are connected to the depth of things. We see something, we figure out, what can we do with it? What's the potential of this piece of paper? Garbage? Or maybe I can make a little boat out of it. We look at children, at people, and we think, what is this person all about? And this is why the Rebbe started with the word understanding. It is a womanly trait that God gave to women. Oh, we sometimes use it also in the negative thing. We start digging way too much. You know, a husband says something, you say, ooh, what did he mean? And he says, nothing, I didn't mean anything. Oh, you must have meant, what are you saying? I gained weight. Is that what you mean? Or you don't want to say it, or and we go a little bit too far with our digging. Be careful when you dig. Don't go too far. But the Rebbe is telling us, use the gifts God gave you. Binah yetera, extra understanding was gifted to women. Use that understanding. Broaden your mind. Don't just see things. And we're not people of nothing. We're people of something. Use it. Second word he says is effort. How many times do I hear young girls saying, I thought, we got married, we love each other. It'll just go smoothly. I said, no, you have to put in effort. You have to say, I love you. You have to put in some effort in showing nobody wants to be taken for granted. It has to be shown that you put some effort into it. When you prepare a supper or, okay, I'm giving examples of women in the kitchen and we get in the home. I know not everybody's into that, but whatever it is, if it's a note or if it's something, put some effort. We all want to feel that somebody thought a little extra, and it does take effort. It does take effort. It doesn't, just smooth sailing. And it's also with children. It's also in our jobs. Everybody wants to see that you did pushed your border a little bit with a little more effort. Then the third word is devotion. What's the difference between effort and devotion? I feel that effort is pushing yourself a little bit, even things that you're uncomfortable or you really don't want to do. And devotion is being there. Is being there. You're devoted. It makes people feel safe because you're devoted. They know they could trust you. A kid wants to come home and close the door and have a fit. Know that it's going to stay right here because he's in a safe place. Because the people around him, the characters, the players in this house are devoted to him. So if he's going to fail, they're going to help him out. They're devoted to him. I'm giving little examples because we don't have that much time. This letter sometimes takes me 5 classes to teach because I also take these 10 words. It's 10 tips. I take them into the Kabbalah of the 10 spheres. that God created with them the world and that we all have. And I bring them parallel to the 10 spheres. God also created the world with 10 sayings. And here he's teaching us how to build our world, our home. So you could take these 10 words and find them in the 10 sayings that with them God created the world. Because when a couple builds a home, they're building a new world. They're building their world. We were two individuals, and now we're building a new unit, a new world, a new family. It's a whole new world. So it could be taken, this letter, in a simple way, and I'm bringing simple examples, but it could be really taken in much deeper and higher levels. We could take these 10 words in understanding in ourselves, effort in myself, in my private life, devotion to myself. So even if somebody is listening here and is not married yet, these 10 words are also for your own self. You could use it also as 10 steps in your own world. The next word is patience. Patience has gone out of the window a long time ago. We are a world of instant. Now, we want Mashiach now. We became a now world. Why isn't the light changing? It should change right now, and everything we want now. And the Rebbe is teaching us we need patience. Many things take time, and trying again and again and again, and not giving up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your relationship. Don't give up on your effort, your devotion. Do it patiently. The next word is kindness. Kindness, chesed. It says the world was built on kindness. God created a world because when you are kind, you want somebody to give to. And when he was all by himself, he didn't have whom to give to. So what was the use of his kindness? So he created a world so he could be kind to us. Getting married is true kindness. It's making space for somebody else. And now your kindness, your goodness is being tested. I have so many girls who tell me, I was so kind. I was such a nice person until I got married. And now I realize I really don't feel like doing laundry for somebody else. I really don't feel like waiting for somebody else to eat or sharing. And now I realize I have to work on my kindness, making room. And that's why in the Torah it says a person's supposed to leave his parents and devote himself and cleave to his wife, to his spouse. And now let's see who you really are. By your parents, you were the best. No faults at all. And now let's see who you really are. So kindness, kindness, and I say to people, kindness also kindness to yourself. And then, of course, kindness to your spouse. Everybody knows that it's so much easier to be kind to the person outside and then close the door and then turn around and yell at somebody that's in the house. We're tested with our kindness sometimes and our patience in the house, not outside. We let people get in front of us, in front of the line, but sometimes at home, we have no patience and we could shout out. The next thing the Rebbe mentions is, I called it pure. It's in the physical, and it's also in emotional, mental, moral, ethical, cleanliness and purity. Be transparent, be real, be clean, a clean slate between both of you with a lot of purity. It's also family purity. keeping the laws of family purity for those that are married, being honest, clean, pure. The next word is calmness. Calm is not patient. Calm is a mindset. Calm is really faith. That you have faith that things will turn out the right way. You have faith in God. So you're calm because you know that God is running the world. So you're calm in your marriage. You're calm in who you chose. And you say, there must be a reason, and you look for it, and you invest, and you start being devoted. And then you see with your devotion and your effort and your investing, you begin to love. And then you realize that it paid to be calm and have faith in God that chose the right person for you to marry. Calm could take you many places. I know I come across as a calm person because I talk very slowly. And people say, you're so calm, but actually, I'm not so calm. I'm a redhead. I'm Brazilian. I have a lot of temperament in my daily life, very energetic. And to be calm, I know is work. It's work for me. And I talk to myself, have faith. Things are not going to go your way, but doesn't mean that your way is right. Be accepting. Don't be judgmental. Be calm about the situation. And it's so calming. It's so relieving. It takes off a lot of tension, thinking that you have to run the world and you have to take care of everything. And your way is the best way. And if your husband doesn't do it this way or do it that way, it's terrible. Be calm about it. Step back a little bit. Let other people do. Accept the other person. Make room for the other person. I say to people call me up about their husbands, gave the children this and did with the children that, and it wasn't safe, it was safe, it was good. I said, you know what? Hashem chose him to be the father of your kids. Step back. They need the father's way also. So for 2 days, they won't take showers when you're not there. So for 2 days, they'll eat falafel and pizza when you're not there. He doesn't care that you have healthy dinners frozen in the freezer for him to take out to give the kids. Be calm about it. You went away for vacation? Don't call home. Let them be with their father and enjoy your vacation. Be calm in vacation. I have so many people calling from vacation saying, I just called home and there was a babysitter. I never take a babysitter. I left him with the kids for a few days. I said, who asked you to call home? Enjoy your vacation. Be calm. Don't think about it. The kids are with their father. They're just fine. They say, how could you be so calm? I said, because he's their father. And it's okay. And there's a third partner to our relationship. God is also their father. Have faith and be calm. Okay. The next thing, orderly appearance. Never think that the previous Rebbe would care about orderly appearance. And here he puts it in, how important it is that there should be order and structure in a home. And also in the clothing, orderly appearance. I don't know what went on in this woman's home in 1940, or her husband's appearance, or the way she looked. But what the Rebbe wrote is forever. It's for us. And I speak about it a lot. And rabbis asked me to speak about it, how important it is to be orderly at home, a structured home. Children should find their shoes in the morning before they have to go to school, briefcases cleaned, sandwiches, old sandwiches taken out and new sandwiches be put in. A woman's orderly appearance is very important for the husband, and the husband's orderly appearance is very important for the woman. We live in a world, out in the world there, there's a lot of temptations there. A lot of women in front of the men and a lot of men in front of the women. We have to take care that we are properly dressed in orderly appearance. And I take it orderly in everything, in structure, preparing the Shabbat, preparing the holidays. A house should be orderly fed. It's taking care of structure in the money system of the home. In everything, there should be some type of structure. Don't worry, we're also very spontaneous, and you should be spontaneous, should be happy, and you could look like a mess every once in a while. Just let go. But in this mess, there should be an order, a structure. And our Torah teaches us structure. There's Sunday and Monday. In our prayers, we say, today is Sunday, the first day after the Shabbat. So today is Monday, the second day after Shabbat. We count the days. We know when Shabbat is coming. We have 3 times a day of prayer. We have an order in our lives. There's a 3-year-old, and then there's a bat mitzvah, and then you hopefully get married. In everything, there's a time system. Here last week, we changed the clock. So now davening is pushed off, prayers are pushed off. Everything has a time. And it's very orderly in the Jewish calendar. We are a lunar year, but we connect it to the solar year. And sometimes we have a leap year. So Pesach, the holiday of Passover, should come in the spring. It's always in the spring in order to be in an orderly fashion. God likes a system, and it's very healthy for a person. Another statistics of the Board of Education and Board of Health that we learned it from the Torah. God likes a system, and he told us this is the system that works best for the creatures that I created. He should know best. Father knows best. He created us, and he gave us that system. Okay, let's go on to the next few. A happy mood and a welcoming face. So it doesn't say love, but it does say happiness. That we're supposed to be happy. And a happy mood and a happy face. Mood is what I feel inside. Face is what I portray to the outside. Inside and outside. Happiness has to permeate the whole person and the whole house. You know, in Hasidus, there is a saying that is actually not just a slogan and a motto. It is work. It's a service. It says, Tracht gut wird sein gut in Yiddish, and in Hebrew, Chashov tov v'yeh tov. And in English, think good, it will be good. What is it telling us? I think in my mind, if you think good, you will feel good. If you think positively, Hasidus teaches us, you will bring down positive energy. We can make things positive by starting by thinking. And if you think like that, you will speak like that. If you speak like that, you will feel that. And if you feel that, you will portray it. So you will always be with a happy face, with a smile and singing. And it changes everything. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And I use it a lot with people that I help. I try to help. And they say, we don't have this, we don't have that. I said, what do you like? Music? Put it on. Dance. Sing. Come in a happy mood. You'll see you will be energized. You will feel good. You will all of a sudden broaden yourself physically and then realize you have more capabilities. A person, when he doesn't feel good, he is fakvetched. You become smaller. You become squashed into yourself. There's no room. But when you're happy, you expand. And when you expand, you open up your hands. You give to others. You are accepting. You hug. You are in a much better place. And when you are in a much better place, you can do better things. And also your vibe to the outside world, to people, People want to be near happy people. People don't want to be next to complainers and sad people. And look how the Rebbe says, they have a happy mood and a welcoming face. And I will now finish off with the last one, a friendly disposition. What is a friendly disposition? I'll tell you what I took it as. When we get married, we become very close to somebody. We become two halves that become a whole. My whole, my husband's whole become a new whole. It's like the two circles meshing together and making a third circle. That's marriage. And many people feel because we're married, we could say whatever we want and do whatever we want. And here the Rebbe is saying, friendly. There is an element of friends, and it's something based on Torah. In the Talmud, it says, buy yourself a friend. Kne lecha chaver. Every person needs a friend. And in friends, we invest. With friends, we're careful. With friends, we choose our words. We give them gifts. We invest in our friends. And I see it many times that people are more careful, more respectful, more investing in their friendship than in their spouses. They say, my spouse, I mean, she knows I love her. My friend, I have to call him. I have to tell him. I have to pick him up. My wife, I leave a message on the Frigidaire or a WhatsApp or something. You know, I sometimes hear women saying, or men, it works both ways, but now I'm talking to women, I think. I don't know, actually. Say things to their husbands, and I say, oh my gosh, how could you say such a thing? And then I say to them, if they're sitting here, would you ever say that to your friend? You look disgusting. He goes, no, I would never say that. And I said, and do you like everything your friend wears? No, we have completely different. So I said, did you ever go with her and she's wearing something horrible? She says, yes. Did you tell your friend that's horrible? She goes, I would never tell that. She'd get insulted. I said, so why'd you just insult your husband? She says, oh, come on, he's my husband. I can't tell my husband that. I said, maybe not. Maybe you have to choose your words. Why is your friend, why are you more respectful to your friend's feelings than your husband's feelings? And this is what I took to myself. Everybody could, do their own translation. What the Rebbe says, a friendly disposition. Also, it teaches us, reminds us, it's like a hint to the times when we are keeping the laws of family purity. Sometimes we are on the basis of just friends. We live in the same house, share the same room, but there is no intimate relationship. And when you read the great book of relationship, which is called the Song of Songs, written by King Solomon, he calls our relationship many words. He calls it my sister, my bride, my lover, my dove, my complete one, because relationships in marriage goes through and has many levels. Sometimes we're a dove, and sometimes we're like siblings with rivalry and with friendly demeanor. And then we are, of course, husband and wife. There are many, many different levels, conditional love, unconditional love. And I feel that the previous Rebbe put everything into these 10 words. Okay, so good luck, everybody, and myself. I read this letter occasionally to remind myself all parts of our lives, all stages of our lives need a reawakening of connection. And this is not just for the young, it's for the middle-aged and for the elderly like myself. And I find that it's a great letter, and I was happy to be able to present it to you. And I'm happy to give it as a gift for Chaya and her husband for their wedding anniversary. Actually, I have 2 children that got married on this day and a child that was born on this day. His birthday will be on Chaf Hey, and 2 of my children will be their wedding anniversary. So I will send them this letter. And thank you. Thank you for
Wow.
letting me join.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Mrs. Esther Piekarski. That was so amazing. Before we conclude, if it's okay to ask you a question, since we're dedicating this program to the Rebbetzins' birthday, our Rebbetzin, who in her lifetime was more, I would say, reserved and hidden and private. That would be the right word. She was more private, but then afterlife, we saw how she made such an impact. Her life, you know, you don't have to make a lot of noise to make an impact. That's the lesson that I learned from her. You can make an impact by doing it quietly. And I'm wondering if you have any words you'd like to share about her either encounters or like you grew up in a time where, you know,
Okay,
the
so
Rebbetzin was still with us here in a physical form. So I would love to hear a little bit from you and our viewers that never met the Rebbetzin or heard of the Rebbetzin, or, you know, she wasn't someone that was in the spotlight. She completely gave her husband's life to us.
yes, okay. Thank you, Chaya, for bringing those words. Okay, the Rebbetzin was a very private person, like Chaya mentioned. I grew up in Crown Heights. I'm Brazilian born. My parents were on Shlichus, but we moved to Crown Heights when I was a child. And I grew up in Crown Heights, knowing that the Rebbetzin, like most kids, we knew that there was a Rebbetzin down the block, a few blocks away. But majority or most of the kids in my class never saw the Rebbetzin. Could be they met her and they didn't even know it was her, because the Rebbetzin was so private that her picture wasn't seen and nobody knew who she was. I actually did meet the Rebbetzin. My grandmother, Aleh Shalom, was very friendly with the Rebbetzin. And whenever my grandmother lived in Israel, and whenever she came to America, I used to walk her over to the Rebbetzins' house, really hoping to be invited in. But the Rebbetzin at the door thanked me for walking my grandmother over and saying hello. But then as a bride, my grandmother's name was Rebbetzin Leah Karasik. She was a Rebbetzin. She was a very special woman. When I got engaged, and my brother got engaged a little while later, the Rebbetzin called to my mother. She used to call my mother regularly, and we used to pick up the phone sometimes, and she used to say, "Please tell your mother it's Mrs. Schneerson from President Street." She never called herself the Rebbetzin. My father was also very close. My father was in Paris when the Rebbetzin was there, and when the Rebbe came to pick up his mother from Paris. So my father also had a connection. So when I got engaged, I'll tell you a quick story. When we were engaged, my husband and I and my brother and I, the Rebbetzin requested that we come visit, and she should meet our future spouses. Actually, the boys, my brother and my husband, my chatan, really didn't want to go because we grew up. The Rebbe's private life was his private life. You don't step into the Rebbe's house. We didn't think what the Rebbe ate, what he dressed, and what language did he speak to the Rebbetzin and everything else. Our family, the Chidriks, we did know a little bit more because the Rebbetzin used to call our house. She called us to ask my mother. She had her niece coming. How should she prepare the house for her niece? And the niece came with a child. So what should she prepare for the child? You know, so we knew, and we had people who stayed by us who used to go visit the Rebbetzin and come back. So we were a little bit more involved. But it's interesting, we were never told as children, don't tell your friends. It was just in the air that a person who requested distance and respect, got it without having to tell children. I think it was a different age. You didn't have to spell it out for children. But because only years later did I find out another friend knew and another friend. But when we were in school, nobody spoke about it. Anyway, so let me tell you the story. Finally, my father convinced the boys, the Rebbetzin called to come visit. You go, royalty calls, summons, we go. And it's funny how after we all left, and we once spoke about it a year or two later, none of us, we all like pressed delete in our minds of what happened. But little by little, after she was nifter, after she died, we started building up again that meeting. I'll tell you honestly that for years I wouldn't speak about it because I knew the Rebbetzin was so private that I felt like I hear her saying to me, Esther, you know I don't like when people talk about me. But the Rebbe opened up that we should speak about her so we could all learn. So let me tell you what happened when we came. So we ended up going, we were 3 couples, my parents, me and my groom, my brother and his bride. And we came in, she gracefully hosted us, accepted us, and the table was beautifully set with china. I recall her telling me to serve my father first, and then to serve, and she like smiled. I was so nervous, to start serving on china and cake and drinks in the presence of my father, the Rebbetzin, and my groom, my chassan was a nerve. She says, you have to practice to be a balabasta. You have to practice to be a hostess. He asked me, how difficult is it, the searching of a good wig? I had a strange hair color. It was red, but not very, very red, but not blonde, and it was not brown. And getting used to it. And I told her, it's not so easy. I'm practicing, I'm trying. She said, I trust you. I'm still waiting for her blessing to come to fruition. She says, you'll work it out. Your sheitlach will be good. You'll work it out. I trust. I heard you have very good hands. And then I'll share with you a story. If I have the time, I'll tell you a story that I heard from the Rebbetzin herself. My father, this is going back about 48 years ago. It's a long time ago. So my father, this was before there were Chabad shluchim all over the world. We were smaller communities, and we were based in pockets in different places, but we were not emissaries all over the world yet. We didn't conquer the world yet, just the beginning. And but my father was a big traveler, and he traveled to unique, exotic places. He was a pearl dealer, a diamond dealer, a precious stones dealer. So he was all over the world and spoke languages, and he went different places. And wherever he went, he used to visit the Jewish communities and bring back to the Rebbe reports and letters and whatever he was able to glean from the community, what they need. And Chabad used to later send things and actually build some mikvahs and did a lot of things, my father, alav hashalom, for communities worldwide. So my father felt when we were sitting there with the Rebbetzin, like Chaya said, to thank her for her sacrifice. We felt like she sacrificed, that the Rebbe spent so many hours with us and with the whole world, that she gave the world a gift, which was her husband. So my father started telling her that the whole world knows about the Rebbe. And this is pre-phone, internet age. We're talking the early 1970s. And he's saying to her, the whole world knows about the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And like, it's thanks to you. And she like smiled. She had like this little mischievous smile on her face. And she said, let me tell you a story. And she told us this story. And she said that when she learned in the university, we know the Rebbetzin sat next to the Rebbe in the university when the Rebbe went to Sorbonne and the university in Berlin. And I think she sat next to him, so nobody else should sit next to him. And I think the Rebbe actually sat with my class. You, Chaya, do when you were in my class, was for holy purposes. Anyway, so the Rebbetzin described what it was like learning in university. Then she said, the professor stood on a podium, spoke into a mic. We sat, all the students lower down. He had no contact or personal contact, not even knowing the names of the students. He gave his talk and then left. So she says once by one of the lectures, she said, I had a question. And then she smiled and she said, I guess it must have been a good question, because after I asked my question, he said, what is your name? Something very not done at that time. And he said to her, what is your name? And she said, Schneerson. Now this wasn't so simple, because this Schneerson family was chased by many, many governments. They were a royal rabbinical family and Jews. The name yelled Jews, even though the Rebbe looked very Jewish. The Rebbe did not take off his beard and his hat and his, anyway, so she said, Schneerson. So he says to her, are you part of the grand family of the grand rabbis? And the rabbi that was now, it was after her father was sent out from Russia to Latvia. Are you part of that family? So she says, yes, that's my father. And she looked at us, she goes, we were always famous. And I'm sitting there, a 20-year-old, going to build my family, my life. I did not have this letter. And from her, I learned you could be in the background, you could be a woman, and the Rebbetzin was very strong, opinionated, and you saw it. She was very small, but she was powerhouse. You could be a proud, strong, influential, great woman and still be behind the scenes and quiet, without noise, and run things from your home. Rebbetzin worked. She used to go out. I used to see her. Did because I like. So, even by a red light, I was stopping the car and the kids were with me. And I told them, don't all turn to the left, one at a time. The lady driving the car on our left is the Rebbetzin. And this is how I also got some of my children to get to see the Rebbetzin. She was very powerful, but she wasn't pushy. She was a royal lady, a strong Schneersons. The Schneersons were very strong, opinionated people, and you saw it on her. And she didn't feel she sacrificed. She was part of it. She was proud of Chabad. She was proud of what we did. She was proud of every accomplishment of every child, of every woman, of every man, of every shliach, of whoever met her. She was just with them. She had the devotion and the calmness and the patience and the orderly appearance and the friendly demeanor and the happy mood and the understanding. And she put effort in every person to speak to them on their level. I could say all of these 10 things, you saw it in the rest. And I hope she's proud of us, and I'm sure she's proud of us. She sees we're doing our effort to bring Mashiach, and we should bring him speedily, Mitzvah Hashem, today, now. The impatient generation should get it done now. Thank you, Chaya.
Wow. Thank you, Mrs. Piekarski. I did not know that I knew that your father had a personal connection with the Rebbeim, because growing up, we always knew your family was very connected. And it was something that I got inspired by one of your relatives, how they said, they couldn't believe that I didn't know enough history about the Rebbeim, and that's when I started to study it because it's fascinating. So I'm very thankful to them. And then I actually reminded them what they told me because they got me on my journey, and they said, I said that. And I think
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. So it really affected me. I was like, if this person is so into it, I should also be into it. And I also come from a line where we're very connected to the Rebbeim. My my great grandfathers were very close,
Right.
very close to the previous Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and my father merited to be near the Rebbe as a little boy. Like you said, it was a small knit community. So
Right.
there's a lot of stories. Not all the stories are publicized because some of them are private and not everything needs to be
Right.
told. But I'm so glad I asked you this question because you just gave us such insight into into the Rebbetzins' life. Like you don't have to be loud to make a difference. And
Right.
she knew who she was. She smiled, like had a smirk on her face, like you said, and she knew who her family was.
Not a
And she said,
smirk, but yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
a,
She
I
was
mean,
proud. She
she
was
was
proud.
proud of where she came from, and she was proud of like the life that she chose for herself. And we're so lucky. So I always like to say a takeaway of this class. It's not just hearing a story. It's not just, the takeaway is, yes, we got 10 amazing points to be a better spouse, a better person. Like you said, you don't have to be married to bring this into your life, because it could be with all sorts of relationships, and a better everything. So I think we need to have a takeaway of what blessing, what birthday present we are going to give to our Rebbetzin, who gave us so much. I mean, she literally gave us her husband, her time with her husband. That's what she gave us. And she gave us so much more. Like in the background, she was a very big part of what the Rebbe did. She was his partner, and the Rebbe was very proud of it. And like you said, after her passing, he started speaking about her because during her lifetime, like as a little girl, everyone always asked me if I am her namesake. My name is Chaya. I'm not. I was blessed. Um, I got to see the Rebbe with my own eyes till I was 9 years old, and I have a very strong connection to the Rebbe. In fact, I have pictures with the Rebbe, and I have even the Rebbe told me something on a video. So I feel very proud that I had that. And if not for the Rebbetzin, like most of us want our husbands home at a certain time at 6 o'clock. The Rebbe maybe came home for 10 minutes a day to be with the Rebbetzin. He gave her a few minutes of his time, and then he went back to 770. Most of his life was in 770. Someone asked my dad about like the Rebbe, and he said the Rebbe's personal life was us. Like that was his personal life. His entire life was given over to his Hasidim. That he didn't have a lot of time in his own life because most of the time it's documented was spent in 770. He had visitors around the clock waiting. I mean, he wasn't a young guy. Um, the Rebbe at 75, 80 was still seeing visitors in his room for a very long time. And then after that, he gave dollars, standing on his feet for hours and hours and hours. And I mean, I can barely stand on my feet for an hour. So I don't know how the Rebbe did that. I am much younger, and it's pretty incredible. So I think the birthday gift that we need to give to our Rebbetzin is to follow in the footsteps of what the Rebbe would have wanted from us and the Rebbetzin, because whatever the Rebbe wanted, it's also the Rebbetzin. And to really like delve into and start learning more about your history and our history of who we are, being a Jew, a proud Jew. We're seeing now how, all our Jewishness is coming out because, with the war after October 7th, we all are fighting the fight for our brothers and sisters, and we need them to come home. And we need to do it also the spiritual fight, not just physically, spiritually, and connect more. So one of the ways are if, family purity, to bring that to life. That's the only mitzvah that you can retroact. The only one in the Torah that you can bring back. So if you haven't gone to the mikvah yet, you still can, and you can make it right for your family, for your whole family tree. And just all the mitzvahs of the Torah, Shabbos, kosher, the the 10 Mifsayim that the Rebbe really was passionate about. We did a 10 Mifsayim series. So I really encourage everyone to give a birthday gift to the Rebbe. You can keep it for yourself, or you can share it with me. I could share it with Mrs. Piekarski as a gift to her for doing this class. All the birthday blessings, all the birthday gifts that are coming in for the Rebbetzin, I would love to share it with her. So please send it to me directly. And Mrs. Piekarski, I'm so humbled and honored that you shared your incredible words of wisdom.
Thank you.
You took this letter and you made it worldwide, because now many brides-to-be are taught in this way, which is so important and so practical. It's not just about, being a homemaker, it's the background of it. And I really learned a lot. So I hope to, make the Rebbe proud even more.
It's a shame. Okay, good night. It's getting night in Israel.
So thank you. We did a
I
pre-recording
know.
because and she was so gracious. She lives in Tel Aviv, Israel, and maybe one day you'll share about your shluchas in Israel.
You'll be here. You'll all be coming here with Mashiach one day.
Amen, amen. Very, very, very soon. And
Yes.
thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Good night. Take
night.
care.
So I want to take this opportunity. We're so lucky that we had the most incredible guest speaker. We have every week, we have amazing, amazing speakers. I'm so thankful to all of them that says yes and brings more light into the world. I want to say a big shout out to the Hashem and the Rebbe for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank all the ambassadors of the class. I want to thank Shane D. Jacobson of this class, who really helps and empowers me to continue with this class. I want to thank my dear husband for being a big part of this class and helping put it on the YouTube channel and help with the tech in the background. I really appreciate it. We're now going to share a screen share of the Rebbe talking about, after his wife's passing, the power of a birthday. And I would love to share it with you, because we all have birthdays, and that's also another gift that we can give to the Rebbe and Rebbetzin and celebrate our birthdays how they would like.
One aspect of the Rebbe's style is his ability to discover the positive, no matter how negative something may seem at face value. Here, only 1 month after the passing of his wife of 60 years, on her birthday, the Rebbe launches a new campaign.
Da kommt der Hatzor, das ist sein der größte Schuss, weil der Nishoma, als in Zusammenhang mit dir, Nishoma, und mit dir Aliyah, werden einführen, oder der Minne, aber soll einführen bei Jeden, aber soll lohnen, Praven, Jemen, Gledes, was auch auf Pi, was im Derische Liefni sei, das werden nicht wie bei Chidis Gulo, lechet nicht mit dem ganzen Piso, sie hat durch in Sipure, und es sieht der Rehn mit dem Leben dem Schwert, oder aber dann noch mit Galle gewählt, wenn er der Minhag, und hat es mit Galle gewählt, in Asami Nefen, aber das soll nicht spaschet werden, in der beste Reihe abdrufi, aber das wird sich nicht spaschet, und holig beheißig und nicht spaschet, וגוד ובהילך נדפול הרוחני שבדבר, כמדובר כמה פעמים, ועשיך בנסיד עלינו הבגדות, הדריני פייני לדסי, דתכן von החי היתן הליבה, macht החש מצדק, אז durchgegangen mal Jahr und sagt sich schon ein neues Jahr, macht החש מצדק von dem Over, כדי zu Maschlim sein, Und die Schaß kein Schenke werden beschrieben, es geht zum nächsten sein. Sei Begashmis und sei Beruchnis, sei Bechus und sei Betamus. In die Schone, aber es hebt sich Isteron, und dem Juchod, also bei Kunzach, heißt Gabrus, Juchodo, du, was man soll geben. Und wird sich angerufen, Bescheren Masel, wie steht in Zworim, der Pavus von Nen, kommt Rob von Loschen Hazol, Tizal im Rossi, kommt Rob bis in Gruppe Agashmi, bis in Meise, in Keach HaMeise, Shele bis in Meise Bepeil, und das ist der Zohar Mula, aber mit Kanula Habo, und wenn er Dover Achin Nochen, und die was sein der Blauwoche nicht besetzt, weil noch nicht sein besetzt. Aber Schaße kommt a jene Ledes von den Eltern. Noch mehr, Schaße kommt a jene Ledes von den Kindern. Bis Tani, darfen sie Masbi sein, die Eltern in sich allein. Und warum sie? Und nicht Masbi sein zu den Kindern, in dieses mit ihr aber Losser. Also wissen sein, dass wir bald sein, die geworden älter mit einem Jahr, ist verstandig, dass das ist der Fall, wo sie dachten werden, älter berufen ist. Die Derech mit Lele, die älter sichert auf dem Gashmis. Und bei jeder Lieben und bei allen Lieben ist der Gashmis hat es so, und der Chaim Ruchnim, Esem, Nishmosom, Iker, der Gufam Tofum, der Amut, wo das geht sich auf Pamet, Kulam Tzadikim, und das Misbeine sein kommen in dem Sachhakel von dem Jahr, was sie da weggegangen. Und das soll sein, ein Jesei und ein Binyan, was Abdrul bett mit einer Marie, Echet von Loschen, Heilach, Weile, mit Darge, bis in ein Leben von Belieb Gewur, bechol in Jone, Teib, und Beduscho, und Kemedubar, aber bald als man soll geben, weil dort steht sich auf jeden, was Jotzel, Havir, Weile. Die Wille der davon verstandig, hat das so tegen das Scheichel verstandig sein. Aber mit sie, schade der Gil Chinuch, kommen sie das Maske sein sicher, in der Esses, was sie werden das echt verstehen. Und der Riekel, dass sie bei sie echt bringen, der meiste Befehl, aber sie wird zukommen noch mehr in den meisten Themen, wenn geht an Hogothemen, was verschaffen. Nachher ruhig Amiti zu den Eltern, bis zu Claudius Slow, bis zu Jochel zu Asmus und Ruß, und das Masbe sein Nechet sich allein, und durch der Hisbonnene, Liebe de Nafsche, als geworden älter mit ein Jahr, ist eine sichere Sache, das werden Flieger mit ein Jahr, eine sichere Sache, das werden Frimer mit ein Jahr, noch mehr ist Kaches mit Nebeln, und das ist welche die Nekudes hat so, aber soll einführen, Apropis, also da sehen wir, was Steine in der Bibel ist, und sie das nicht getan. Sagt mir sagt, aber die Schaße kommt zu in die Jönnen Bildteri zu. Der Halachas kann also darf zukommen in den Jönnen Rizui, wo die ganze Linie von Bildteri zu ist. Diese soll zukommen an Alie in den Jönnen Rizui, wir kommen in der Leifen bei einer Reich.
Wow. There's so much more to be said about celebrating a Jewish birthday. And a birthday is a day that God decided the world cannot exist without you, and you matter. So we all have a mission in life, and we must complete our mission, and we must utilize our gifts that Hashem gave us, and really make a dwelling place down here for Hashem. And we will together help bring Mashiach and give the ultimate birthday gift to our Rebbetzin. I also want to just say my grandmother's neshama should have the highest aliyah, Rivka Dita Bas Yosef Yehuda. We miss you very much. It's been 8 years since you passed away, and we're still honoring your memory, and you left a legacy, and afterlife is when you really see who the person was. And I keep hearing amazing stories about my grandmother, how she helped so many people, gave the best advice, tips for life. And I just want to thank her because I know she had a very big part of my anniversary. I got married a year and 1 day after her first yahrzeit. So that was like a gift that she gave me. She helped me find my dear husband. And you can't celebrate within the year of mourning. And all of her children were able to celebrate my birthday because they live in different places, but they were all here for her yahrzeit. And then the next day I got married. So I'm so lucky. And I want to thank my bubby for giving me so many living examples for life, and now sending me so many people who knew her and really shared stories with her. And if you have any stories about my grandmother and met her, Riva Minkowitz, I would greatly appreciate if you can share it with me so I can share it with my family and my loved ones. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next week.